Dr. Makhosi Khoza is as ANC-LP verguis na sy gesê het president Zuma moet waai. 2 weke terug het sy aangekondig dat sy die ANC verlaat, dat die party nou onherkenbaar en korrup is. Dr. Khoza, welcome to the show for the first time since you voted against or in favor of that motion of no confidence in President Zuma. How did it feel to do that?
To be honest with you, I was at peace because I was doing exactly what my moral conscience was telling me.
Why wait so long before taking that step of rebelling against the party? Surely the rot didn't start with Mr. Zuma.
By the way, you may have forgotten, when I was in KZN, I had to leave the province. Remember when I had applied even for the position of the city manager of eThekwini when I was the first runner-up and my land was invaded? And I'd received death threats and my kids were receiving death threats and so forth. I left politics. I only went back to politics again in 2014. I left in 2012 after my land was invaded. And in 2014, I went back because the ANC branches voted for me in absentia. They wanted me to come back from the private sector. They wanted me to go back to parliament. So that's how I went back.
Were there many people in the party who begged you to stay in the ANC? Because just 2 weeks ago, your announcement was quite shocking to some people when you said you are leaving this rotten ANC that is not familiar to you anymore.
Well, a number of comrades dissuaded me from going ahead with resigning. But you know, there's this belief in the ANC, which is an illusion. It's like a mirage. It's like chasing a mirage that the ANC would self-correct. I don't believe that that would happen. I don't believe that I think the patronage politics are so institutionalized. Corruption is so institutionalized. I mean, you've seen that when Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa came out in the open with Gwede Mantashe and Treasurer General. They came out in the open saying, listen, we don't know where this decision is coming from. Guess what happened? The following day, they changed their minds.
But many people are putting their confidence in Zweli Mkhize or in Mr. Ramaphosa or Lindiwe Sisulu or other candidates to change the ANC. Is that not possible?
You know, to be honest with you, and I don't want to be commenting about the ANC all the time. I've chosen to be out of the ANC. But my reasoning, the reasoning behind or the rationale behind my taking this decision is really based on the fact that you've heard these people that have been serving in the NEC. When this rot was taking place, they knew about it, they did nothing about it. In fact, even in KZN, when I revolted when the ANC, PEC in KZN, decided to put back Alpha Shelembe as the deputy mayor after we had recalled him, consequent to a conviction. The ANC persecuted me. And the reality is that they were there. Zweli, even Zweli Mkhize was the premier at that time. So I'm not sure. It's for South Africans to judge for themselves. I mean, I've never served in the NEC of the ANC, so okay, but maybe they might have repented. I mean, if others do change and people do become repentant, maybe if you believe in that school of thought. In politics, I don't think it's possible. In church, yes. In politics, I don't think so.
Okay, but in this country, we do need a political solution and somebody to take charge. Now, if the ANC is not going to correct after December, who then will put our country back on track?
You know, one of the things that I think we underestimate about South Africans, to me, the fact that even on the 7th of April, South Africans were able to mobilize themselves. They were able to actually get there and be united behind one common purpose of saving the country. I still do believe that South Africans can decide what happens with this country.
At the ballot box also.
At the ballot box, exactly. We have a fantastic constitution, and thank you, ANC, for having gotten us to where we are right now. The only thing that I'm worried about is that what I'm beginning to fear is that we are beginning to break down that very constitution. That is one of the key milestones of the ANC mission. So,
Dr. Khoza, there are many South Africans who share your concerns about what's happening in the country at the moment. And they might ask, who then should they vote for, if not for the ANC, in the next election? What would you tell them?
You know what? Let me leave that to the South Africans to decide. I think South Africans, they have to understand that no matter how, if you are standing on an amoral or immoral platform, it's not going to be, you are not going to be able to pursue the interests of South Africans. I mean, the other thing you must also understand, I have a banking background as well. And one of the things that I'm worried about is how we get into these trade relations, sign these trade agreements, and that are really pushing small businesses out of businesses. And we even come up with some of the policies that are really not sustainable for small businesses. And a country like ours, and in the age of algorithms, in the technological age, you really wanted to be investing more in small business, but we're undoing small businesses.
Okay, I must drag you back to party politics briefly, because there are opposition parties who are opposing the ANC with some success, even in the metros. Would you consider supporting any of the existing parties in the next election?
I have my own, I'm coming from a different school of thought. And I think South Africans have a constitutional right, by the way, to choose freedom of association. They can, whichever party that resonates with them. I'm not going to be endorsing this party or that party here, and I'm not going to be speaking bad of any of them either, and yeah, that's it.
What lessons have you learned from those who went before you, who left the ANC before you, and who decided differently to start their own political parties? Do you think that was wise? Are there lessons to take from what Ahang did, for example?
You see, let me tell you, and this has been what I've been answering people when they're asking me, are you going to start your own political party? Today, I actually met with the Forum for Service Delivery. They actually came to me to say, ma'am, we want to come behind you. We want you to run for president in this country. And obviously, my first question to them is that, yes, I don't have a problem when I get that kind of call, but we need to be looking at going deep into what actually failed Ahang, what failed COPE, what failed ID, what failed all these other parties. It's very important that we look into that. Having said that, we must never be sidetracked from pursuing the right thing simply because of some case studies. Maybe there were those parties we established around individuals and not necessarily around principles. I have no clue. I still have to do that study.
Dr. Khoza, the public protector, Busisiwe Mkhwebane, the advocate, was appointed by a committee where you played a central role. And you said at the time that she must be given the opportunity to find her own moral compass. On this show, in fact, in February, it didn't work out very well. Right? What can be done now to salvage the office of the public protector?
You see, the problem, that is why I said she must find her own moral compass. It's one thing for somebody to come and impress you during the interviews. Because remember, this was not a decision of me as the chairperson, it was the decision of all the parties except the DA. It's only the DA that raised concerns about her, and also not necessarily on her competency. They raised concerns about her association with the intelligence community in South Africa, which is highly politicized. So I'm saying, in hindsight, I do think that we need to be checking whether people are people who can stand for principles. And that is why I'm very cautious about which leader I would be going for. And I do think that that office of the public protector has made a lot of wrong things. In fact, I actually took on my Facebook wall at some stage, because when she started getting involved meddling with the Reserve Bank, I really thought that, no, she was really pushing us. And I just distanced myself from her.
Are you worried about the level of violence in the run-up to the December elective conference, the ANC?
Extremely worried. Any form of violence in this country, we have, whether it's farm killings, whether it's robberies, whether it's political killings, this culture of violence in South Africa is bad, and we've got to deal with it.
But do you think this will be a hotter race?
We wanted to enjoy this prosperous South Africa that we've been fighting for.
Do you think this will be a hotter race than the one ahead of Polokwane in 2007?
Well, when I resigned, I did warn you guys, you journalists, you don't listen. I did tell you. I said, I think it's going to be bloody. And let me not be part of this fictional and, patronage politics driven fights and that kind of thing. It's not like people are fighting to save the country. It's people are fighting so that I can also go and start eating. And that's public money.
Dr. Khoza, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.